How to Sell Anything to Anybody. Author Joe Girard. Chapter 1. The End of a Loser, the Beginning of a Winner. Joe tells us that he had a difficult childhood. He grew up in a poor family. His father constantly beat him up for no reason at all, and told him he was a total loser and would never make it in life. And listening to this day after day, he began to believe his words. But then he decided to prove to himself and his father that he was worth something. He began to go to bars and shine shoes for workers for a small fee, which could only buy one ice cream. Then, when he was 8 years old, he started working part-time as a paperboy. And one of the rules he learned from childhood was that the more people he offered something to, the more sales he made. Even if 9 people refused, the 10th person was sure to buy. Then he and his accomplices robbed a bar, but he was lucky that the bartender did not insist on arresting him. After that, he changed a lot of different jobs. With the army, with Joe, also did not work out, as he hurt his back and he was released from service. In general, his life was bad until he met a man whose name was Abe Saperstein. He was in real estate. Joe started working for him and soon started a family, and after a while Abe left the whole business to him. And things were going well until he was cheated out of a piece of land, after which he owed a large sum to creditors. He had no money left in his pockets and nothing to feed his wife and children. And to provide for his family, he got into the business of selling cars. From that moment on, he began to turn into the greatest salesman in the world. He was listed in the Guinness Book of Records. With this story, the author wanted to say that no matter what your childhood was like, no matter how much money you have in your pocket, if you strive for something, you will achieve it. Chapter 2. It all begins with want. Before you start selling something, first of all, you must know what you want. Secondly, you must know what exactly you can get if you sell your product to the next customer. In our case, Joe wanted to provide a decent life for his children and knew that if he sold his car to the person in front of him, he would be able to buy the necessary things and groceries. And so he expended all his energy to make the sale. Chapter 3. The Mooch is a Human Being. In Detroit, a man who wanted to buy a car was called the Mooch by the salesman. You have to treat your customer with respect, because subconsciously he senses when they're being cheated and when they're being treated with disrespect by the salesman. And so the person begins to think that the seller is trying to pull all his money and begins to evade and hesitating and wasting your time. As a result, both you and your client are not satisfied. In fact, your customers are people who work hard to earn their money and are sincerely interested in buying something from you. And going into the salon, they are afraid that the seller may cheat them in some way. You have a chance to sell something if you can overcome your customer's initial fear. If you're approachable, friendly, and honest, both you and your customer will benefit from it. The customer will now have no doubt that he bought a good car and will recommend you to his friends. You will get more and more new customers every time. So make your client a friend and he will work for you. Chapter 4. Girard's Law of 250. Whatever feelings you have for the client, don't let them influence your actions. Remember that your customers are the reason you make a living. Joe believes that everyone has an average of 250 people in their lives who are important enough to them to invite them to their wedding or funeral. This means that if you see 50 different people a week and only 2 of them are unhappy with how you treated them, at the end of the year there will be over 5,000 people negatively impacted by those 2. So you must not let even one person leave you frustrated and unsatisfied. No matter how much of a jerk the customer is, if you find the right approach, can put money in your pocket. So even if you are in a bad mood, try to restrain yourself. Chapter 5. Don't join the club. This means you don't want to get together with the other salespeople and talk about what they did last night or other topics that have nothing to do with work. You're wasting your time. If everyone is slacking off, try to take on all the customers. That way you can use more different approaches to the customer and sell more often. So treat other employees with friendliness, but in the workplace. Try to keep things strictly business-related. Chapter 6. What do you do after you sell your Uncle Harry? Whatever you sell, there will always be people who want to buy it from you. All you have to do is find them. Joe just took the phone book and started calling everyone in order. A lot of people would turn him down. A lot of people wouldn't pick up the phone at all. But there'd be those few who would come and buy cars from him. In any case, even such meager results are better than standing in the smoking room and discussing with men how the day went. With people who are not interested in a car yet, you can ask what kind of car they drive now. When they are, they're going to buy a new one, and other leading questions. Once you know all the information, put that person on your list, and then call back a couple of months before he wants to change it and try everything you can to persuade him to buy from your dealership. If by that time he has already bought the car, then ask if he knows anyone he knows who is going to go to a car dealership soon, and you can even offer them a discount. No matter what you are selling, take your time to find out all the information you need to know and then use it. For example, you sell computers to companies. Before you make an offer, try to find out as much as you can about the company, how many people they employ, how long they have been buying computers, how often they need repairs, whether the company is growing, whether they are going to hire new people. All this information will help you to build your offer so that you will definitely get an order. Chapter 7. Fill the seats on the Ferris wheel. Make sure that everyone knows what you do, so first tell all your friends and acquaintances about it. By the law of 250, many more people will soon know about you. When you buy a car, ask the person where he works, and if, for example, a butcher, then try at least sometimes to buy meat from him. In this way, you will not only build a relationship, but also possibly get new customers, since the butcher sometimes talks to his customers and may just inadvertently recommend you. Chapter 8. Hunting with bird dogs. You can also incentivize other people to find clients for you. Let's say for 30% or 50% of your commission for a car sold. You can negotiate with people in professions that often talk to their clients, such as hairdressers or stylists. If you get a call to find out how much the car is worth, never underestimate its price just to lure the person to the car dealership and, citing a mistake, to try to sell it for the real value. The buyer in this case will feel cheated. You can name the minimum price of the car without any additional contrivances, air conditioner, navigator, etc. That is the price for which you will be able to sell the car, even without everything. If you see that in front of you is a person who can influence the masses, you can sell him a car, making a discount on the amount that is your commission, so you will get a bloodhound in your ranks who will talk about you to his friends and people who listen to him. You can also offer him 50% of your commission for every client he brings in. Joe has sold about 550 cars thanks to his bloodhounds alone. Chapter 9. Facing the customer. Make the customer feel obliged. For example, if a person is choosing a car, invite him to your office under the pretext that there you can choose the best option for him, and then offer him a cup of coffee or a glass of whiskey. If the client came with children, then you should have a few candies and balloons in stock. Either way, you'll need treat something to the client because, psychologically, a person tends to return the favor, so he is more likely to buy a car from you. Chapter 10. Selling the smell. In new cars, customers are attracted by their smell, but some people don't want to get in the car because they are afraid of feeling obligated. So you have to push the customer into the car in every possible way to get them to smell it. People in general, before they buy, like to try things out in operation, touch them, hold them with their hands, play with them, so allow them to do that. Chapter 11. Espionage and intelligence. Always involve the customer in the conversation, thus allowing him to open up to you. Ask what he needs the car for, what brand he would prefer, why he made this choice, who advised him, if at work, where he works. As you get answers, you can go deeper into the topic. In this way, the customer will start to trust you. Chapter 12. Locking them up. If you repair and sell televisions, well, or not only televisions, you can take advantage of immediate delivery. For example, you may get a call asking if you can repair their TV. You need to find out how old the TV is, who the manufacturer is, and so on. Then say that you intend to come right away and want to bring a spare TV that the family can use while the old one is being repaired. Here, as I understand it, this method only works if the client has a product older than a mammoth. And it turns out that the repair, as a rule, takes a week or two, and the client will already get used to the new product and eventually want to buy it. But before you bring a new product to the client, you first need to know about his ability to pay. That is, if you see that he lives in a hovel, then probably still should not make such a gesture. Chapter 13. Winning after the close. After selling an item, update your list with the customer's information. Make a note of what he bought from you, when you think he should call you again, to offer him additional services or to upgrade his product. Also, send the customer a thank you note, and remind him that you'll pay 50% if the person comes from him. A couple months after buying the car, call your customer and ask if everything is okay and if there has been any trouble with it. Also ask if anyone he knows is considering buying the car. If the customer comes back with any problems, don't dismiss it as an annoying fly, although most sellers do, because they've already sold the product, earned the commission, and now they don't want to be bothered with the hassle to deal with. You have to reassure the client and promise that you will personally see to it that all the necessary work is done. As a last resort, even if the company doesn't want to fix at their expense, you can reimburse them out of your own pocket to let the customer know that you are on their side. Look at the customer as a long-term investment rather than sending them away after you've sold the product. When you have a large flow of customers asking for you, you probably won't take the time to return calls or sending thank you notes. So delegate your duties by hiring some student who wants to get into the field. Let him take care of all the minor duties, and you just focus on the clients. Then if the client flow gets too high, hire another person to entertain them until they get their turn. For example, showing cars, offering rides, etc., and he or she can, as it were, casually find out what kind of old car the customer has, what the mileage is, what the customer does for a living, and what his hobbies are, and when it comes to him, your assistant will give you all the information he has learned about him. This is the end of the book. Subscribe to the channel, give it a like, hit the bell, and leave any comments. Bye.